Welcome aboard, everybody. Today is a big day on two levels of the game, the sport of boxing and the Super Bowl. My name's Eric Bradley. They call me the Fight Doctor. And what we do is break the fight world down, round by round, giving you insight on every intricate part of the sport of boxing, from the promotions to the logistics of what goes on in this training and inside the ring. So what we're gonna do today is break this down. So get ready. We're gonna go round by round and break down how the Super Bowl compares to the Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Money Mayweather fight. So here we go. We're gonna start off with round one. So get your hats on and let's get it popping. I'm the host of the show. Let's go. Of boxing entails. So, excuse me for one moment. Let me get my little gist. We will break down legacy. The legacy of Floyd Money Mayweather and the legacy of Manny Pacquiao. Round one. Manny Pacquiao came into the game in the early part of the decade, around 2001, 2002. He came right in and he let his footprint be known straight out of the gate that he was a terminator of sorts. Over a period of time, once your blueprint gets laid out there to pasture, people start to pull from it and learn things about you. Manny Pacquiao's legacy in ranking to eras, if you think of the 80s, you think of Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran was an annihilator. Manny Pacquiao's an annihilator. But once people know that you have that ability, they start to go into a retreat. They go into their shell. They don't come straight out. They don't just go in on you like they would if you were a regular guy off the street coming into the gym to fight. Manny Pacquiao has really cemented his legacy as being a terminator. And no matter how many fights he goes without getting a knockout, he will still have that legacy cement because he's punished some of the greatest in the game that have ever laced him up. Now think about it. Manny, when he fought guys like David Diaz, then he buzzsawed through Barrera, and these are killers. 30 seconds remaining. No one really thought of him getting to a point in his career that he would even be challenged. That's what those who are his major fans say. And then he gets into a point where he's beating the Joshua Clottys, and the luster leaves. But the thing about the fight, when he has a guy like in front of him, like Joshua Clottys, these guys are surviving. Margarita got into a survival shell. These things are what we want to clear up about legacies. And now we go into we're going to segue into the legacy of Floyd. This is in between rounds, and we're sitting on the stools, and we're going heads up, and we're figuring out things. Manny Pacquiao and Team Pacquiao have definitely done what they needed to do. Manny Pacquiao makes adjustments, and these things are unique when a fighter can come into the sport, fight the top level opposition, and keep them running. And that's where I'll leave that. Now we're going to segue into the Floyd Mayweather legacy. What is the legacy of Floyd? The legacy of Floyd is going to be one of the purest and to have ever done this sport at this level. You've had Sugar Ray Robinson, you have Sugar Ray Leonard, you've had Sweet Pea, Pernell Whitaker, you've had Thomas Hitman Hearns, you've had Muhammad Ali, you've had Livingstone Bramble, you've heard Ray Boom Boom Mancini. A lot of these names people know, but there are a lot of guys that don't realize that Floyd Mayweather had actually gotten in the ring with a lot of these individuals, or at least someone that had shared the ring with him. Sugar Ray Leonard shared the ring with Floyd's father. Learning pure boxing is one thing that we do not really speak to enough. That's why there's a lack of responsibility or appreciation for the pure boxer. Bernard Hopkins, a pure slickster. James Toney, a pure slickster. Floyd Mayweather, a purist. slick and accurate. Offense and defense. His defense is slick. His punch accuracy is spot on. The same with Bernard Hopkins. The same with James Lights Out Tony. These guys, his legacy is built upon being a purist, and one of the purest of pure. Sugar Ray Robinson was a pure boxer. Power, speed, agility, and a high echelon of capabilities. Now, when you look at these guys and you start to see their legacy, Sugar Ray Robinson won so many fights. He knocked out so many guys that his legacy is intact. Floyd Mayweather's legacy is intact. The thing about it is, we have to pronounce this era, and we have to hand and pass down the throne to someone. And that's the biggest problem most people are having with Floyd's era. Who do we hand the era off to? The era prior to this, you had to hand it off to Sugar Ray Leonard, because he beat everybody that was in the ring to beat, and he did it in a convincing fashion. From knocking out Thomas Hearns the first time to beating Marvis Hagler in a super fight, he's carried all of the necessary equipment to give you guys something to judge him on. And this is what Floyd Mayweather's legacy is right now. And now, this makes it relevant that people want to see him chop it up and go heads up with Manny Pacquiao, because you have the opposites of every both spectacle. Terminator against a purist boxer, and this is the era, and this is how we title it. And that's what's going to make this so compelling when this fight jumps off May 2nd, with the fingers crossed. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and like I said before, someone has to give us knowledge or insight on what's going on as far as the promotion and as far as the legitimacy of the contractual agreements, because that's what we're going to use to move forward. And it's going to be a lot easier to judge that fight when you see what's going to be laid out in the contract, how these things are prepped. And that's part of the battle. For those who have not been in the boxing world or the world of boxing, these things are part of the match. Trust and believe me. Next thing, who's primed? From their last fight, you have to look at what preparation, because training camp is one thing. That's where you go get conditioned. You know, whether it's the condition of being pressed, or the condition of learning to really get away from certain weapons of the opponent. Well, these guys have been in the game long enough that won't be relevant, because who they are going into this fight, that's who they'll be. There's nothing in there going to get in a training camp that's going to change much about who they already are. Floyd's a pure boxer, the most accurate puncher in the game, and probably somewhere in history, because you either sharp or you're not. It doesn't matter what era you were in. You either know how to hit someone in the face into the body or you don't. When you look at Manny Pacquiao, he's going to be offensive onslaughter. He likes to bring offense in bunches, punches in bunches. And when you see Manny Pacquiao, he's hittable, but he's hard to hit if you're slew-footed. But Floyd's not slew-footed. So whenever they bring it and they go heads and face-to-face, Floyd's going to land that straight right hand, and he's going to catch him with some hooks. The thing about it is, Manny knows how to adjust and adapt, but will he still be effective in offense? Because Floyd is so much of a pugilist. The defense just speaks for itself. The punch percentage of everyone that stepped in the ring with Floyd Mayweather drops immensely. So we'll see how that adjustment comes to play. Like I said, it matters with the gloves, the size of the gloves, the style gloves that they're able to wear in the ring. Just for the simple fact that Floyd knows he's going to wear those pillows. So he doesn't hurt his hands, because he's going to land right hands, and Manny's going to come in there and give angles and do things and do what Manny does. Move those legs, and he's slick and quick of feet. Believe me. At the end of the day, these two guys will pair off in an amazing way. And that's going to kind of lay out how these fighters are primed for this fight. Floyd got in the fight with Marcos Maidana. He's been pushed to the brink. That was the equivalent of fighting Miguel Cotto twice, because he got hit, but he also showed the beard. And he has a beard. If you can look at the neckline, you can look at the jawline, you can look at the seams. He's stitched very well. Because if he wasn't, he'd been knocked out. He'd been knocked out or knocked down several times in his career, in which is not the case right now. So That's what you look at these guys, are they prime? That was Floyd's training camp for the Manny Pacquiao fight. So adversity, he should be able to handle well. Pressure, he should be able to handle well. And Chris Algieri definitely wasn't much more than a sparring partner for Manny. So Manny really didn't get in that prime polishing that he needed. But he did go up against a boxer. So that's the closest thing that you can take away from the Chris Algieri fight. Someone who changes angles, someone who has good footwork, someone who has good ring generalship. And Manny still pressed him, cut off the ring, and punished him. So that's how these guys are both primed for the fight. Neither one of those guys are slouched right now. When it comes down to it, we're going to go into the be careful what you ask for segment, which is in round 3. And the key is Pacquiao and some of the guys that are in his corner in the brain trust have been calling out Mayweather, which can get up under a guy's skin. Needless to say, Manny is a total professional, from shooting commercials to kind of having a little sense of humor in the ring on some of the post-fight conferences that he had during the interviews. He was really, I don't know, it wasn't in his character to do that, but I guess he wants to fight so bad, which gives him momentum. But you have to understand, you're also getting up under the skin of the pound-for-pound sharpest boxer on the planet. What do you do when he's used all that as fuel? That's where the matchup may take a tilt, because in most instances, we must be careful what we ask for, because you just might get it. Now, on the other hand, Floyd is consistently giving Manny Pacquiao fuel by consistently giving these awkward excuses or unmeaningful, unexplained. And that's the end of that round. Like I said, the end of the round is be careful what you ask for. Floyd Mayweather speaks very fluent, and he keeps a lot of things up under the bedboard, which really causes people to question his legitimacy with that argument of why he's not fighting. Bob Arum using those excuses. All of this fuels Manny as well. So now both of these guys have given each other fuel for the fire. Conventional wisdom. Seattle Seahawks. You're looking at the boys from the AFC, which is Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Conventional wisdom says Tom Brady wins. Conventional wisdom says the Seattle Seahawks are the roughest team in the NFL. They win. That's why this Super Bowl is the Manny Pacquiao and the Floyd Manny Mayweather of sport and sporting events. It's going to be really knockdown, drag out. It will not look like the Super Bowl from last year with the Denver Broncos and the Seahawks. This is a real heavyweight fight in the welterweight division, because everybody's slick and everybody's quick and there's a lot of power involved. They call me the Fight Doctor, and I thank you guys for watching, because you're watching Master Boxing. And this is where we break the fight world down, baby. Round by round. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the fight. Stay tuned. The Fight Doctor continuously be back at you with that good insight and that good insight. Holla at your boy. Be blessed. Peace.